Well, as of this morning.
What do you, are you looking for a shutter?
Yeah, it works, but you have to be over here.
Yeah. As long as we're, so when are you playing fly? During your. So now it's not really. Okay. You guys, I can always do, football. No.
I already knew that.
Well, that was my basic idea on what I needed. It does mean, why don't you guys go and take your time getting on, take your time getting off. Because
Hey Jennifer, how are you?
all right, how are you?
I'm well. Good to see you.
Where is it? I were to take pictures, like.
That's what's being fed to the Zoom right there.
Okay.
So you can stand pretty much. Let's see. If you
First 3 rows.
Yeah, if you're to the left of probably midway, you're out of frame. Yeah.
Okay. If I sit over there,
Yep.
then I could walk around and do it.
Yeah.
All right.
If you sit where you're sitting, you won't be seen either. If you sit there, if you want to be in the front,
If we sit right here, we won't be seen.
you won't be seen.
All right.
You're totally fine right there.
Let's sit right here.
I can move stuff.
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
Because there are a lot of people who want to be here.
Oh, can they hear us?
No, they can't hear us, thankfully.
You have a special mask like friend.
Can I look?
Hello, Amy.
Hello.
How are you?
Say hi.
You can say hi.
What? You want to stand up and say hi to them?
And then wait for them.
No.
Wait, hold on. Where is
That's the one that's right above the balcony at the bottom. See it in the middle of the balcony back there? Yeah.
running?
Yes. Oh, in the back, yes.
Oh, okay.
Can you get me one too?
Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you.
And at least 2, yeah.
Thank you. How are you?
Catherine made a type of chili that I think was competing with Uncle Chuck's for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just was hoping that
Mine?
not around yet, but I was thinking you guys might be competing or.
Yeah. I don't know if mine ever made it out of the kitchen. Did mine make it out of the
Sure it did.
kitchen?
I think everything got eaten.
Well, I heard the people that were eating. I heard some of the staff were eating mine down in the kitchen before it came in.
I particularly like the pork that was at the end of the Mediterranean table.
Yeah, that was really good. I like that. I like the placement of that too. What was Catherine's? What kind of chili did she make?
Same as yours.
Did she make a white chili too?
It wasn't. Well, what's funny is that Brooke had some chicken and stuff at the very end. So when it got out there, some others have been eating like yours. They've been eating hers, and so there's only a little chili left, and they put in all the chicken. And they're like, wait a minute, this is not chicken. This is chili. Chicken with a chili sauce.
That's awesome. What am I doing?
Tech?
No, you don't see me here. This is not me.
Well, for Catherine, you made an exception for Catherine.
I'm streaming the Zoom.
Are you streaming the Zoom?
Streaming the Zoom.
So I know several people that had watched
Yeah.
it usually this week.
Well, they should be able to log in. Yeah, it's fantastic. You're welcome. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's always good to see.
Yeah. You know. I'm looking forward to the surprise.
I just started the recording on our
Awesome.
because I don't want to forget about it.
Thanks, Vince. One, two.
Could you see me on it? There you go. Could you see me on the thing?
Oh, I wasn't watching. I'm sorry. Were you out there dancing around? I'm sure you were.
I'm tired.
You're the doctorate as well. Yeah. Like you. Call me about your child. No.
I need water. I'll be right back.
Yes.
Is the plan that you're just going to come up at 1:45, even if there's still a hubbub here, or do I need to or what?
It's live now.
What's that like now?
You can go on now. Yep.
They're never gonna.
Wait.
It doesn't have
You
us.
can tell. Put up your arms. Nope.
Wait, Claire.
Put up your arms.
Oh,
Nope.
wait, no, your head is up. Wait, no.
Nope. I'm touching you.
No, no. No,
Tell
no.
me you see me.
I see you now. I see you now. There you are.
Wait,
Nice.
where was I right
You ran out. You were kind of like right around in there, and then you came back. Watch these two right now. You see them right there in the striped shirt, blue jacket. She's out. There you go.
This person doesn't become some kind of performer.
That's what it's like. Ow.
Chuck's dead.
What?
I just said.
Someone got shot?
I
That's
said.
not good.
I said if you don't become some kind of a performer, then I will be shocked to death.
Sorry.
Guys, like Sarah, like, get on there. And I feel that way too.
I want.
I'd like to encourage everybody to come on in if you're coming in. And a reminder, if you're out in the congregation or out in the rest of the church, please keep your mask on inside.
Oh, where did you get that from?
Underneath here, so
Oh,
probably.
Cordelia. Yeah.
Yep.
Tell me you see me.
Yep.
Tell me you see me.
It's very crafty of you. It's very crafty of you.
Is that comfortable for you?
Sure. Whoever looks good. I don't know. Yeah, we don't know anything, so. Yep. Okay, want to welcome everybody. I'm Tim Kroll again. If you didn't hear me screaming my head off out in the parking lot last hour, thanks for coming. Thanks for wearing your mask. I want to thank everybody that is making this a great event. That's the cooks, the setup people, the musicians, the technical people. There's a lot of different people, and they're in your program. And I think we may have missed. I'm sure we've missed folks. Sorry about that, and we want to express our appreciation. And of course, we are spending the rest of the afternoon thanking the main reason we're here, which is Catherine, and thanking her for not just her work today, or like we're doing our work today, but her work for the last 20 years. And of course, Catherine's twin sister is here, but Catherine's the one that's got all the medals on, so, right. But it's her birthday too, right. And she was there, right. So let's see here. What else do we need? Little business, or a little important item for me to take care of is to remind everybody that we gather as guests of the Duwamish people on their traditional land that touches the shared waters of other Coast Salish tribes. We understand that their identity and richness of culture are deeply connected with the mountains, valleys, waterways, and shorelines that surround us all. And that's especially appropriate recognition given the week we're in, and what we owe to the people that came before us, before we came to this country. Let's see, some of you did the quizzes. You might have brought the quizzes with you. You want to know, some people are competitive, like, I don't know who that would be, but they want to know the right answers. There's got to be a right answer. Catherine, of course, has spent 20 years telling us, there's no one right answer, but in her quiz, there are right answers. So how many miles is it from Catherine's home on Whidbey Island to the church? 26 plus 3.1 on a ferry. So for an athlete like Catherine, 26 miles is sort of very significant. And then she puts in the extra, tenths of a mile or whatever on the ferry going round and round. Besides apples, what goes into Catherine's apple cider? Nada, nothing, just apples only. What snack would Catherine bring on for a hike? The correct answer is a Hershey bar, because there's a slight chocolate preference we've heard about. But she wouldn't turn her nose up at any of the other choices either. How long did Catherine and Don Mackenzie overlap? 7 years. Primary reason Catherine spent her part of a sabbatical in Scotland? The sheepdog performance trials. And we're told that is the right answer. Even though she was probably really hit the books at Iona. So, how many sheep are there in her flock? According to the last open the gate at the beginning of worship, somebody counted 16. Well, they got to 16, then they fell asleep. But, so the correct answer is 14 or more. What program was assigned to Catherine when she first arrived? Was A, Christian education. Who was the U.S. president when Catherine was born? You can't ask anybody else for that answer, because the buck stops here. It was Give 'em Hell, Harry Truman. In what subject matter did Catherine earn her doctorate? C, education and theology. When we benefited from that for 20 years. How large is Catherine's farms? 3 acres, 5 acres? But wait, no, there's more. There's 12 acres. So C is the right answer. Which of these names is one of Catherine's dogs? B, Mac. So anybody that's watched the Dogs on Couch, Facebook group would know the answer to that. What is the name of a ferry on the Clinton to Mukilteo route? B, Tokite. So I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but So there you go. You've everybody's a winner. You know, everybody gets a participation medal. You know, I think we're ready for the official part of the program. So Pastor Amy, if you'll pray us in, please.
Hi. It is so good to see all of you. And as I've often said in worship as well, it's so great to see all of you and none of your noses, which is wonderful, I'm sure, underneath the masks. So take a moment to take a deep breath within that mask. Oh, God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the beauty of this day. We thank you for providing the weather that helps us gather more easily, with a little more joy even than it is these past days. Thank you for the noises of children in our midst. We thank you for the noises of hearing your collective people here to connect and give thanks for Catherine's ministry. We thank you for the opportunities you have given us to do ministry together. The moments of laughter and joy, for being with us in struggle and in pain. We thank you for the ways that Catherine has taught us to be outside, to connect to you in our urban ways and in our rural pastures. God, in each breath that we take, may we feel your presence within us. May it help connect us to the joy that is life and faith in you. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Amy. And next on our program is Nancy Hanna, Reflections from the Search Committee. Nancy, I believe, was the chair of the search committee that called Catherine. We were talking the other day, and she said, you know, she thinks it kind of worked out okay. You know, so anyway, thanks, Nancy.
22 years ago, a search committee was formed to find a new minister to add to the team of Don McKenzie, Peter Ilgenfritz, and Dave Schull. A group of us started the process with great hopes and expectations. Members of the search committee still here after all those 20 years are Virginia Felton, John Coleman, Margaret Clockers, Mary Jean Phipps, Alex Wells, and myself. After working on the process for many months, our group selected a minister to come to Seattle to meet with us and the leadership team. After those meetings, there was a definite disconnect between us, the search committee, and the leadership team. Since it was vitally important that the new person be a solid member of the team, it was decided that our committee needed to go back to the drawing board and search some more. This was a biggie. This is where I think there was divine intervention. Catherine was starting to think about her next call, and we were in definite need for someone with her talents and caring. The search committee was nervous about getting it right this time, and I expect the leadership team was also nervous as we'd had 2 years without a settled pastor in that position. We arranged for Catherine to preach at a church in Seattle on September 26, 2001. This was the Sunday after September 11th attacks, and we were unsure if it would still be possible. But Catherine and the chosen church both agreed, and what a powerful moment that was. Our search committee had no doubts that this was the person we needed for our pulpit and to lead us forward. The rest is history, but now, 20 years later, we know that God was with us during this time.
By saying that a month ago when I went home from work and a song came on the radio and I thought, oh, we have to do this song, Catherine's farewell party. And then that afternoon I came to do it. You know, with music, or farewell party. May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung, and may you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young.
May your heart always be righteous. May your heart always be true. May you always know the truth and see the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous. Stand upright and be strong. May you stay forever young.
Forever young. Forever young. May you stay
Forever young.
May your hands always be busy.
May your feet always be swift.
May you have a strong foundation when the winds of changes shift.
May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young.
I want to thank the band for their gift of music on this day, and I also want to thank Carla Bailey. You've seen her dance for the first time in 2 years. Mary, will you be introducing our next?
We are introducing Ed Coleman.
Okay.
And Rock Moulton and Margaret Stein.
Ed Coleman, Margaret Stein, and Rock Moulton are going to...
I think back and forth we'll have 2 of them there and 1 of them here. Because Catherine has been serving the church in a community with other pastors and staff who are very excited to give their blessing to this day and have written letters which Catherine will get in the completion. But we have edited out segments from these pastors. Just missing Rock Moulton. Rock, where are you? Oh, you're good. That's so like him. Okay, so, we have other people, but just try to imagine the person they're reading from. And we're going to start with, I think we're going to start with Dave Scholl, which happens to be Rock Moulton, right?
Good afternoon. So lovely to see you all here. You did your neutral pulpit sermon the Sunday after 9/11. No pressure there at all. Yet you stepped into that impossible job. And you spoke an honest, compassionate, courageous word some hungered to hear, some feared to hear, some may not have been very happy to hear. You brought to our team meetings your honesty, compassion, and courage, along with your playfulness that freed us from our tendency to take ourselves too seriously and carry the ministry too anxiously. Say amen, somebody. You showed me that a faithful life seeks to bring courage and kindness into beautiful tension. And that's from Dave Scholl.
From Peter Ilgenfritz. Catherine, you have blessed and shaped my life and ministry, showing that ministry is about bringing our lives, our hearts, our faith, and a story alongside one another for a season of time that provides strength and encouragement, challenge and hope as we wind our way through the seas of change. Ministering with you helped me become a better pastor, as you called me time and again, not to the impossible perfect I strove for, but the necessary real I was called to be. You know when you have received a true gift, when the gifts continue to unfold in time, and looking back, you can appreciate them all the more.
And from Jim White, he sends words in grateful remembrance. An overnight that Patty and I had, where I gathered eggs and fed a lamb. When you took me to a Mariners baseball game, you were knowledgeable and a loyal fan. And just seeing you come off your motorcycle, quite drenched from Seattle's rains, to reassemble yourself and thoroughly lead a Bible study. Quite a woman.
This is from Gail Crouch, who is here today. Your gracious welcome of us returning is one of the gifts you have given me and also many members of the congregation. You encourage all folks to find a place to live out their faith in action as well as receiving comfort and support. Shared gifts, a vibrant Bible study, a love of sheep, a prayer group, a passion for justice, a love for Jesus. Thank you, Catherine, for loving us well and calling us forth to love others.
From Heidi Blythe. Some minister through prayer, some minister with the laying on of hands. You, Catherine, ministered through junk food. I didn't say it. We shared fondness for practical jokery. You graced my office with profound and meaningful surprises. During both my pregnancies, you left signs. They always included a baby cheetah, based on our love of Cheetos, and were a way to engage my humor and optimism about my pregnancy. These purely fun exchanges gave me a deep sense of belonging. Catherine, keeper of sleeping bag pants, shepherd of souls and sheep, thank you for your pastoring, collegiality, and friendship.
And Todd Smedendorf sent in these words. As part of our leadership team, our conversations were a kind of tending to the church, a tending of reflection and inquiry, where the person and the ministry were witnessed together in their unfolding dance. 1 hour at a time, we could be colleagues and human beings together on the journey of serving spirit.
This is from George Meyer. Your ministry made team ministry possible by the way you held the center and made sacred space for all who participated. In your presence, no one had to bring anything less than their true selves to the table. We could be a mess or brilliant at the same time because you helped keep us grounded in Christ.
From David Anderson, who's here today. Working with you was a joy and a gift. I am grateful for your intelligence, knowledge, biblical understanding, and faithfulness. Such a blessing you are. Among memories, our first meeting when you had been stung by bees, yet came and were gracious and fully present. Dick's Burgers before Lent and after Easter. Deluxe fries, chocolate shake. You have been a blessing to this congregation and to me over and over again.
And finally, these thoughts from Don McKenzie. You arrived at the church in a borrowed Miata, and the rest is history. When you were installed, your friend Art told us very clearly that with you, we would not be getting anything we might have. What a blessing. You have taught us again and again that God comes to us not just in moments of happiness and clarity, but also in our most desperate moments. And that an essential feature of faith is to remember this and keep it close in our hearts. Well done, good and faithful servant, and many blessings and love for the next pieces of your amazing journey.
Everyone, and no retirement is really official in University Congregational Church without a musical rendition authored by Alan Clockers and supported by folks from the choir. Thank you.
Quite a few years ago, before Trump and 9/11, in Afghanistan and the COVID pandemic, for many people, the world seemed safe, sane, relatively happy. But this is not true for everyone. Then as now, there was sexism, racism, homophobia, and all the other ills that plague people's lives. For Catherine, personal tragedy differences with the doctrine of the church resulted in her leaving her teaching position and moving to Oregon, near her twin sister. Catherine longed to return to a church position, and she searched. She searched for one in a more liberal church setting. Finally, after the turn of the millennium, she found an advertisement for a position as a minister in Seattle at a UCC church. She found us. And the rest is history.
They got a job for me, what I want to be. Back in ministry, UCUCC, it's what I want to do. It's my dream to come true. For many long years I drifted along, my seemed to run out of steam. But fears that my life had no meaning were wrong. I'm back and I'm born of a dream. At UCCC, they got a job for me, what I want to be. Back in ministry, UCUCC, it's what I want to do. It's my dream to come true.
She joined the team in 2001. Okay, there we go. It was a good fit with all the ministers. All the ministers were relatively new to the church and to the concept of team ministry. Within a few years, she also found a perfect home to complement her ministry in Seattle, Whidbey Island. And so the pieces came together for her to settle in as an integral part of our church for 20 years.
We've grown accustomed to her face. For 20 years she's led her flock. To all the people in the pews, she preached of the news of justice, love, the Lamb, the dove, and now it's time to say goodbye. It's time to have that final talk. We've gone along before we met you, gone along. like giving chocolate up for land. We miss the lambing in the springtime and cider in the fall. The way you share your farm whenever CE comes to call. We've been accustomed to the joy in oh so many ways, accustomed to your face.
Then, in early May of this year, Catherine announced she's retiring from the ministry at University Congregational UCC. While it was not unexpected, especially given that the timing corresponds with her 70th birthday, it was still a shock that this was really going to happen, that she was actually leaving.
From this parish you say you are leaving. It is time to bid you adieu. 20 years you have served as a shepherd. 20 years you have served us so true. Come and sit in our midst for a moment. Let us tell you how much you have done. Oh, the legacy that you are leaving, of the stars in your crown you have
I'll tell you that the talent of Alan and the performers is only matched by the inspiration that Catherine provides and has provided for us. Next, we have an expression of appreciation from the Sacred Earth Ministry.
I think we're all assembled. Okay. We, the members of the Sacred Earth Matters Action Team, would like to express our deep gratitude to you for your very presence in our individual lives and in our work as a group. Sometimes you've been there in person at our yearly planning retreats, at our many Earth Bistros and educational events. You've provided us with ideas and spiritual underpinnings for our work of inspiring and mobilizing our congregation to celebrate the sacredness of all creation. You provided the whole congregation with opportunities to connect with the land and nature at your farm on lamb days and apple days. But beyond your physical presence, we all knew that if we needed anything, you would be there to support us, guide us, help us to do whatever was necessary to further our work. We are grateful beyond words.
You were there supporting us while we watched a slide presentation in 2007 based on Al Gore's movie, An Inconvenient Truth, that became a major catalyst for our group to begin learning about and confronting the climate crisis we are facing today.
You were there supporting us while we held events for the congregation to learn about ways to care for our creation, ways such as electric cars, tours of wind farms and local recycling and solid waste plants, sustainable living classes, earth bistros, and photo displays on the red wall related to our sacred earth and the climate crisis.
You were there supporting us while we advocated for sustainable practices in our church and for the congregation. For example, solar panels on our roof and LED lighting in our sanctuary, non-toxic cleaning products, water bottle filling station, community-supported agriculture programs, encouraging congregants to eat locally grown foods, yearly electronics recycling event, encouraging the UCUCC Investment Committee to switch funds to fossil-free investments.
You were there supporting us while we developed a composting and recycling program for the church and wrote green guidelines for all groups that use our facilities.
You were there supporting us while we were dug in the dirt to in places like the Duwamish River Waterway, Magnuson Park, and Ravenna Park to remove invasive species and plant plants.
You were there supporting us while we encouraged creation care worship. Earth Day Sunday used to be our one Sunday of the year we acknowledged the beauty and fragility of our planet. Gradually, with your help, Sacred Earth consciousness has become an integrated part of our life as a congregation. Northwest Greens on Palm Sunday, Lenten study of plastics, a pause to ponder thought about creation in the bulletin, support for the land acknowledgement statement.
You were there supporting us while we expanded our sacred creation consciousness beyond our walls by participating in Stop Coal and climate strike protests, helping to raise funds for the solar panels placed on the roof of the Mwanzo WETU Education Center in Kenya, developing an email contact list to advocate on behalf of environmental legislation and the climate crisis, creating a traveling climate crisis photo display to share with other churches.
You were there supporting us while we brought and passed a resolution at the 2019 UCUCC annual meeting entitled, "The Earth is Sacred, Not Ours to Wreck." And now, thank you for being here
for all of us.
Well, our next speaker needs no introduction. But nevertheless, I'll introduce her. Catherine, please come up and share some words with us, which we always love to hear from you.
Oh, my goodness. Whew, whew, whew. What can I say? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want you to know, and some of you already know, that when I got the invitation to come up here to Seattle, I had also gotten an invitation from a Portland church, and I had pretty much decided on the Portland church. But as you know, after 9/11, I actually felt like when I talked to the pastor over at Magnolia that I needed to come up here just for that weekend to preach, to be connected, to walk through that time. And again, many of you know on that Friday that I came up, the first thing, of course, was that all the flights had been canceled, so I had to drive. And those of you who remember that 2001 weekend, remember that Dave Scholl was stranded in New York because of those canceled flights, and he was on his way across the country with others in this congregation. Is there anyone here who was part of that trip that week? It was a tender time. So I came up here, got up early on my farm. It's true, I had to borrow a car to come. My friend's Miata, it was perfect. But I got up on that morning and I took my dogs for a walk on my Oregon farm and walked right into a yellow jacket's nest. So as said, yes. When I arrived, I had about 20 stings across my face, neck, and body. I remember meeting Nancy Hanna at the Decca Hotel. Before I get there, though, I have another thing I want to tell you. I kind of figured to get from Cottage Grove, Oregon to Seattle, Washington, you know, about 300 miles. It would take me about 6 hours. This was on a Friday. I left rural Cottage Grove, no problem, drove through to Eugene, no problem, got to Portland. Things were tightening up a bit, but I kept coming north, still on schedule. You know, I hit Tacoma at about 3:30. You know, it was 20 years ago, but it was still Tacoma, right? Actually, it started way before Tacoma. Olympia wasn't easy. The JLBM was not easy, and then Tacoma, it was just bumper to bumper. But I knew I was heading to 45th. Change numbers all the time around here. So what was I, about an hour and a half late? Just getting y'all used to it, right? I walk into the Decca Hotel. We had no cell phone, so I actually had stopped and found a payphone to call Nancy to let her know I was going to be late. I walk in, and there across the lobby is Nancy Hanna standing there, and she looked at me, and in later years she told me, "You looked atrocious." This eye was swollen shut. I had a huge lump on the side of my neck, and that's how I met this congregation. And by the way, all the way up on my drive, I said, I am not moving to Seattle. I am not moving to Seattle. No, 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 no. But then I met you. What can I say? I met you. I met John Coleman. I met Nancy Hanna. I met Margaret Rose, Margaret Clockers, all those names you heard of folks who are on that search committee and some who aren't with us. But what a precious, precious time. Standing with John Coleman, looking at the University Street Bridge while he explains to me how it opens and how it closes. Yeah, things to come, right? Things to come. Oh my, what a tender time. Going out after my neutral pulpit sermon and finding a bar open in the Magnolia area where we could have lunch, and Margaret Rose and I sat and sang old Christian hymns at this bar while Helen McGilvra just sat shaking her head. She had no idea what we were doing. We actually had a potluck dinner at Nancy and Marilyn's house that weekend, and Virginia Felton drove me with her because she wanted me to see Pike Place Market. And you know, just when I was starting to fall in love with this congregation, we got in a car on Saturday afternoon and drove that way on 45th, and I said, I am not moving to Seattle. I am not moving to Seattle. No, 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 no. Monday afternoon, I sat with the team and we talked. I took a break and walked over to the Burke Museum. I came back and we talked some more. I remember David Anderson, Don McKenzie, Peter Ilgen Fritz, and me just sitting in the lounge telling our stories, and I was crying. I was crying. It's a great way to do a job interview. But this wasn't a job interview, as David Anderson would remind me. This was a call interview. And you can say no all you want, but by the time I left Seattle that weekend, I was saying, please choose me. Please, please, please choose me. You had one more candidate to hear from, and 2 weeks later, I got a call. And it was more than a call. It was a phone call from Nancy Hanna. It was a call from the congregation to come and be a part of you. There is no way to say thank you often enough. Next, tomorrow in worship, I will preach my final sermon as the called minister of this congregation, and then the following week, we will speak our words of release. So I have more to say in that sermon, so don't worry, this part's almost over. If you want part 2, come tomorrow morning or come via Facebook or YouTube. Wow, who knew we would be doing that, right? My goodness. But what I have to say right now is thank you. You were a refuge for this soul. You gave me a place to grow, to learn more about ministry than I ever thought I would. You invited me in to walk with you in sacred places over and over again. You let me watch you laugh and cry, and you let me laugh and cry with you, and you laughed at most of my jokes. What I will be filled with as I step into retirement is gratitude. What I will be energized by as I step into retirement is the imagination you have continued to fuel for love and justice and faithfulness on the Jesus path. So starting with Nancy Hanna and going all the way through to Kim Kroll. And how's that for a distance? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So Catherine, I think you're supposed to stay up here because you're going to receive some things from folks. Got a series of things, as well as our thanks, of course, which were in our applause. But and first is Mary, who has a special present to give you.
Well, a couple special. As you know, solemn occasions require a poem, like inaugurations. Of course, the inauguration is for your retirement. So, here's your poem. Who is this pastor? Who is this pastor who came our way, roared in on a motorbike and decided to stay? Who is this pastor we decided to keep, who took pastor so literally, she acquired some sheep. Well, she is our minister, our pastor, our friend, and now we are grieving her service will end. Now, Catherine is one who savors a joke. Today, there's no room for regretful folk. This poem is a send-off to toast her with smiles, to celebrate how she has traveled for miles on foot and through water, a triathlon trek, a garland of medals strung from her neck. She has no shame in wearing her pride. Her life is a shared one with nothing to hide. She runs through the rain and jogs through the fog as if competing with a dozen sheepdogs, then adds further mileage by writing a blog. Then there's the way she welcomes each year, not with resolve to be a church daughter, but by plunging headfirst in Whitby's cold water. She laughs as she shivers and shows no fear. This is our pastor we chose to revere. Yes, a pastor is a teacher of biblical verse. She is brilliant with scripture, though what might be worse is the depth she will go to put us to sleep by expounding at length on assortments of sheep. Well, when COVID hit, did she retreat from it? She zoomed us right into her world on the farm. Each Sunday, the door to her sheep was held wide by folks taking turns to open, then slide through spring mud and muck to begin the church hour. Such is her power. Somewhat like a flower that refuses the winter to forestall its bloom. That is the reason we are all here together, to say any year, any time, any weather, on the corner outside, we will feel Catherine's soul. She holds a common good sign. She wears a rainbow stole.
Tim doesn't know this, but you guys have planned so well. And anytime somebody does much planning an event, I always encourage them to watch for the thing that will go wrong, because there will always be something. So, Tim, may I be it? So, Catherine, we're not scripted in your program as having a gift, but I'm representing the current staff. Because, of course, you heard a lot from all of your past colleagues. But I actually have pastored with you longer than Don McKenzie did. By a number of years, yeah? So, one of the things that has come up just recently, we have other gifts for you, but this one in particular I wanted to honor. Oh, no, it's not an uh-oh. Okay. It's going to be we'll have to only have 2 weeks left to ponder exactly what that was about. We'll have to check in later, Catherine. But I saw these and immediately checked with my colleagues and felt these were absolutely a thing you needed to have. And knowing that Mary just mentioned your rainbow stole, they didn't come in time. They're literally probably going to come to my house this afternoon to be shipped. But these shoes, found, so you'll have to zoom in later because they are a pair of rainbow shoes. Handcrafted retro flats that look basically exactly like any other pair of shoes Catherine would wear, except for they are in bright rainbow colors. But I also want you to know this comes with a commitment. It has been my privilege and my honor to be at in this congregation and to be, for the greatest number of years in this time here, to be the token heterosexual on staff. And as a single mom, like, who knew or cared, right? So and if you've been able to name that, we've been able to be present at things as a congregation and be present and aware to our commitment to be open and affirming, in part just because of your presence, just because of our leadership. And it's not something I take for granted, that then now I commit to acquiring more rainbow things. Because I'm not going to be able to rely on someone else's, your presence, to make sure that everyone knows my commitment to us being an open and affirming church, to dismantling heterosexism that is what makes homophobia possible. And I ask all of us to remember that. So our commitment as a church, and certainly as a church staff, is to make sure that someone would want to give me rainbow shoes when I eventually retire, which isn't happening anytime soon, folks. It's all right. Thank you.
Catherine, I'd like this to be a surprise, but it cannot be a surprise because we have the honor of having one of the Pacific Northwest's most respected professional photographers as a member of our church. And Sharon D'Amico did us the honor of a beautiful portrait of Catherine and her farm, which you saw as you walked in. The picture that you saw as you walked in is a gift to the church. This is the same picture, custom framed. Don't hang it in the sheepfold. But you can unwrap it if you would like. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And then I think Virginia's next with some mementos.
So nice to take this mask off. Catherine, you're taking care now of about 13 sheep? Yeah, give or take. What would you think about a flock of about 45 or 50? No. Well, we are gifting you a flock of 45 or 50 sheep. But the good news about those sheep is they're all on paper, and they contain the good wishes of this congregation, and you don't have to feed them or muck out their stalls or do any of that stuff. You just have to sit down with a nice cup of tea and enjoy them. And so I have here a series of mementos for you. They include the sheep and the full letters that your colleagues have sent you, plus the things that have been part of this program. The program, the bookmark, the text to the various things that you've heard. So mementos are great, but if you're anything like I am, I have a way of losing track of things. So you'll also be getting in the mail in the next week or so a book
that contains all these things as well.
We've got Joyce representing the Personnel Committee and representing the whole church.
On behalf of not just the Personnel Committee, the whole church, we wanted to give you a gift, Catherine. Well, several gifts, actually. And we know of your love of nature and the majesty of the world, and Sacred Earth Group has highlighted that. So the first thing we wanted to give you was John Muir's very first book, where he talks about being a shepherd in the high Sierra Nevadas. And it's a wonderful book. I read it already. And of course, John Muir is associated with Yosemite. So the second thing we wanted to give to you is a Yosemite Conservancy hat, because we know you love Yosemite National Park so much and want to conserve it forever. And she loves caps, right? Catherine and caps. But really the main gift from all of us is several nights stay at Yosemite National Park at Ahwahnee Lodge, which is the historic lodge, including wonderful breakfasts and dinners. So we want you to enjoy Yosemite. And Craig Jackson and I had to go there last month to personally pick it up. So this is, I can guarantee, it's great.
Joyce, you do so much for this church. It's always those tough jobs, but somebody has to do them, you know. Is Kay here? Kay Sneed? Oh, is there a Kay Sneed in the house, perhaps with an orange mask?
Oh my, what a woman. And what a relationship. We will sorely miss you, our good shepherd. It was an honor to be your other flock. We will never hear our stories about sheep and shepherds quite the same since getting to know you. This beloved community has collected a special virtual offering, and it is being directly deposited into your bank account. I believe yesterday the total was $6,800, and it's still trickling in. This offering of love and appreciation comes with deep, heartfelt gratitude for all the ways you were always right there with us in our joy, in our sorrow, the way that you challenged us, inspired us, and seeming to always delight in us with all our flaws. So, pick up your heels, do something frivolous, or turn it into a once-in-a-lifetime adventure. We thank you, we thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. We're going to ask Pastor Steve to come up and give us a prayer of blessing. And then after that, we're going to ask everybody to form a circle around the outside, just like we used to do with Easter with Hallelujah Chorus, so people get that. And we'll close from that way. But first, Pastor Steve with his blessing.
As Steve prepares to speak, or whatever, I guess he's looking for a microphone, I just have to say thank you again. Never forget that this is one of the most profound congregations, I believe, in the country. Never forget how beautiful you are, and never forget what a privilege it is to walk with you in ministry and to have you walk with me. I love you. I love you.
So it is appropriate that we gather near the water. And because we are blessed to have young folks in the sanctuary as well, if there's any children or youth who want to come up a little bit closer to the water for this prayer of blessing, this is a great chance. So when the waters are stirred up, we are reminded of God's Spirit. God's Spirit who moved over the waters in the beginning of creation. And God who has been a God of the journey. We know of a grandparent who was a wandering Aramean. We know of a God who led the people through the parted waters so that they could dance with Miriam. We know of a God who led by a pillar of fire and a pillar of cloud. We know a God who promised a land flowing of milk and honey. We know of a God who inspired Ruth to say to Naomi, "Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God." And then in the waters of our baptism, we were named and claimed, blessed with that Holy Spirit. And then Jesus said, each and every one of you need to go forward to spread a message of love and grace so that the whole world may know that they are loved. So this is a blessing from the beginning of time. That this journey to retirement is one in which God is with you, to lead you and guide you, to let the divine shine be upon you with favor and grace. And so that we know that, and so that Catherine doesn't forget, we should remind her of the blessing of the waters of her baptism. And really, there's only one way to do that. And I think we need some help. So if you guys can... And all God's people said...
It's great that we had much better weather outside today than we've had inside. Thank you. As the band is gathering, this is the time for us all to stand in a circle around the church. And why we're gathering, just three things, closing items. We appreciate your help in taking down the party outside. Second thing is, if you donated a chili pot, you can pick it up downstairs in the kitchen, outside of the kitchen in O Hall. And third is, thanks everybody for helping make this happen, including you attending to make it a beautiful, memorable day for Catherine. Maestro.
church pew on a cold December day. When I heard this gray-haired woman say, let's bow our heads to pray.
With a circle, we are broken. By and by, Lord, by and by, there's a better overrated in the sky, in the sky. She rode in on a motorcycle, roaring like a thunder crack. She wore black leather of her collar with heaven's angels on the back. Will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by, there's a better overrated in the sky.
Nobody's business, and she raised our spirits high. She ain't out of Cheetos just to give her servants wine.
She did triathlons, and in her age group, well, she medaled every time. We did survive, another joke here, but we couldn't find the rhyme. Now she's riding into the sunset. Oh, we happy to see her go. Looking alleys, precious memories, take with us on the road. In the circle, we are broken. I am borrowed.
Thank you. Bless you. Thanks, everyone. Bless everyone. Have a great day. Ready to process. Thank you. Here we go.
So good to see you taking pictures. Thanks. I'm African. I gotta be the phone. I right here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I know.
Formerly Banks. Butler is my maiden name. I was married Banks.
Oh.
And weird.
I'm glad that it's working out. That's great.
I'm Butler again. I think there's a woman named Joyce Rupp. But I think she's
Good? Good. That was me running it back like, oh, I should turn the camera around.
That was awesome. I saw you did that. I was like, oh, so glad you were able to do that. Thank you.
I'm really glad.
Good.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Was that Zoom or was it Zoom webinar?
It's a Zoom. Kina set up the Zoom conference because she put it in the meeting